Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming out. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education, and today is September 17th, and we are at the Wtby Arts Magnet School. We will begin tonight with the silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led tonight by Vice President Harvey. In our silent prayer tonight, I ask that you remember retired teacher Marie Ponzillo. Ms. Ponzillo passed away on September 6, 2015. Marie was a multifaceted, dynamic teacher who worked with students where they were in a particular point in their life. She was a people-centered person. Marie spent most of her career at Kennedy and Crosby. It was at Crosby where she created and taught in the Young Parents Program, helping young mothers and their children. The program helped these teenagers remain in school and receive their high school diplomas. Ms. Ponzillo has presented to this program before us many times in workshop. We remember Marie Ponzillo and her family in our prayer tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Awad, Commissioner Brown, Vice President Harvey,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez, Commissioner McEntee,
Present.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney,
Here.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone,
Present.
Commissioner Tom Van Stone,
Present.
President Stango.
Here. For the record, Commissioners Brown, Awad, and Hernandez send their best. They all have conflicts with their obligations this evening. Next item on the agenda is communications. I have a copy of a communication dated August 14, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Dana Wallace for the position of Supervising Vice Principal of Rotella. A copy of a communication dated September 1st, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Janet Lewis for the position of School Secretary. And the last one, a copy of a communication dated September 9th, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Maria Jimenez for the position of Teaching Vice Principal at Regan. That concludes the communications.
Motion to receive and place on file communications is read.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public address to the board. Do we have anyone signed up? Okay. We do have a speaker, so I will entertain a motion.
Motion to suspend the regular order of business to hear from the public.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I quickly read the disclaimer. All speakers are encouraged to submit prepared written statements to the commissioners. Comments shall be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. The chairman will disallow a speaker from continuing to speak if slanderous or defamatory remarks are made. There will be no responses this evening to any questions or concerns raised. However, they will be referred to the administration for review and response. First speaker is Lisa Lassard of Pearl Lake Road.
Good evening, Lisa Lassard, Pearl Lake Road. The reason why I'm here tonight is on Smarter Balance. It was just in the newspaper. First, I'll start with No Child Left Behind, NCLB. Then I'll go to Kinetic Mastery Tests, CMTs, and then I'll go to SBAC, Smarter Balance. NCLB, CMTs, and Smarter Balance, actually, if you think about it, they're there for the scores of each and all of our children within district and out of district, yes. But if you think about it, and you ask yourselves this question, it's also out there for each and all teachers within the district and out of the district to see what they're teaching each and all of our children at the times they're teaching it, to see if the children are getting the knowledge that the teachers are teaching them so they can pass these tests in the first place. So yes, it's an assessment on teaching scores for each and all of our children, but it's also an assessment on how well our teachers are doing within district, out of district, and all over the state, and anybody that basically has Smarter Balance and Common Core. Okay, Wtby does Smarter Balance. I'm going to go down some facts that were in the newspaper. And I'm going to start with the staples of education, which is math and reading, but I'm going to do math. By school, level 1. Students not meeting achievement, worst in state. Then it goes Crosby, 83.6. High School Incorporated Hartford, 85.1. Daniel Hand Madison, 85.4. Nurse Health and Science Hartford, 85.5. Hill House New Haven, 87.1. Wilby High School, 87.5. Bassick Bridgeport, 91.0. Harding High School Bridgeport, 91.4. Buckley High School Hartford, 92.3. Unified Waterbury Academy School District 2, 97.1. Juvenile Training School. Walsh, 87.4. Level 1. Not meeting achievement level, which represents the lowest elementary scores in the state. Let me repeat. Walsh, 87.4. Level 1. Not meeting achievement level, which represents the lowest elementary scores in the state of Connecticut. So Walsh is a turnaround school, and Crosby is another turnaround school. Both and the scores were the lowest of the low. And worse than before, they took Eric Brown out of the building and put him in another school for all children. Now, how did that work out for this Board of Education? Walsh turnaround, Crosby turnaround, basically, scores don't look good. Now, basically, we had Walsh Math level 1, 86.4, level 2, 9.5, level 3, 2.7, level 4, which is the best, 0.0. So the lowest of the low, and under No Child Left Behind, which we all remember, Connecticut was the worst in the nation, meaning all of the United States of America. Then we had Wtby in Connecticut that was the worst in all of Connecticut. So we were the worst in Wtby in all of Connecticut, meaning we were the worst at the worst in the nation of all of the US of A. Now we have the Smarter Balance scores. And I do not want to hear from anyone that our children do not know or have computer skills. Because if you think about it, if you were spending the Alliance grant money on what? Computer classes, computer programming, and typing skills at the very youngest of age, instead of putting 86% of the Alliance grant money towards salaries for administrators and administrators alone, then basically they can possibly do what they need to do if you think it's lack of computer skills. But I don't know about anybody here, but if you ask a child, basically starting in kindergarten to the 12th grade, anything about a computer, they can tell you what to do, how to do it,
1
when
minute,
to do
Mrs.
it,
Lassard.
and basically how it needs to happen. They have computer skills better than most of us parents. So the Alliance grant, I'd appreciate if you could maybe put towards something else other than administrative costs and start putting it towards, as Mr. Van Stone has said many times, senior, in accordance to our children and the skills they need. If you don't think they have the right computer skills, then maybe you should add computer skills, typing, and everything else within the classes, and maybe they will do better next time around. Thank you and God bless.
Next speaker is Gladys Wright, and she's here representing Angela Holmes, speaking for Angela Holmes.
Good evening. Trying to fill in for Angela Holmes. Big shoes to fill in. But she has a class, and she asked me if I would do something very special on behalf of all parents in Wtby Public Schools in honor of Paul Godone.
Gladys, can you push the mic up a little bit?
Yes.
That's...
I can speak for Angela only because I met Paul when he first came to Waterbury, when Dr. Sneed was here. And on his retirement, he will truly be missed. Not only has he served the district and the board and the superintendents and the city of Waterbury, there is no other person like Paul, and he will truly be missed. But he helped all of us, the parents, the community, educators, everyone. And Paul, you will truly be missed with your cool self.
If I might, Mr. President. I remember when I came here, Gladys, and Dr. Sneed was on one side saying, we need buildings, we need classroom space. And Linda Riddick-Barron and you were on another side saying, we need to do something to get parents and community involved in our school district. And we just happened to have at that time a little bit extra Title I money. And we were able to do a great deal at that time. And as time went on, Angela, the entire staff, I know Mary Ann and others have been working with our parents, and I think from where we are today, from where we were back then, it's night and day. And I think probably, as you all know, we've all said it to ourselves and to others, there's probably nothing more important in a child's education than their parents and their parents' involvement. And it's through your program, your efforts, and the others that we've gotten there. I was happy to be a small part of it.
Thank you so much.
That concludes the signed-up speakers. Is there anyone else here who would like to address the board? Seeing none, then I will entertain a motion.
Motion to return to the regular order of business.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's announcements.
Thank you, Mr.
Dr.
President.
Lott.
Thank you, Mr. President. September 15th marked the beginning of the Hispanic Heritage Month. It is celebrated from September 15th through October 15th. We have, in observance of the Hispanic Heritage Month, principals, teachers, students across the district had been invited to participate in our annual district celebration. We have many, many activities that I've highlighted for you in my superintendent's remarks. We will have a theme of honoring our heritage, building our future. We will have contests, and we will also have a special ceremony at the end of that. So I wanted to just recognize the beginning of our Hispanic Heritage Month and look forward to more activities throughout the month, and I will brief the board as those activities certainly begin, and some of the activities that you can also be in attendance of. Just a reminder to our parents that our middle schools will be holding open house next Wednesday, September 23rd from 5 to 7. Our elementary and high schools will hold teacher collaboration, and all schools will dismiss early for these activities. And then the following week, Wednesday, September 30th, our elementary schools will hold open house again, 5 to 7. High schools will hold their open house, 7 to 9, and middle schools will hold their teacher collaboration time, and their schools will be dismissed early. Special notification by the Connecticut State Department of Education and the State Education Resource Center that Woodrow Wilson has been accepted for participation in Connecticut State Personnel Development Grant. This is a project designed to establish multi-tier system of academic and behavior supports within approximately 100 schools, pre-K-12 across the state by 2018, And this uses Connecticut's SRBI framework to improve outcomes for all our learners with specific attention to the achievement of students with disabilities, students of color, and students acquiring English, and is the mutual goal. The first year is the approximation of participation is in the amount of $43,000. So look forward to further developments of this. Our kickoff will be in September and focus on Tier 1 structures and practices. Jennifer Rosser and staff are thrilled with this, and I will keep the board updated as we go. Just a quick more announcement. 10th anniversary of the Greater Waterbury Downtown Draw will be held after school starting 3 p.m. on Wednesday, September 30th on the Waterbury Green. The rain date is October 1st. Applications for the Wtby Arts Magnet School Lottery for 2016-17 school year will be available online starting October 1st at 8 a.m. Completed applications must be submitted no later than Friday, October 30th at 2 p.m. And there will be 2 informational open houses and tours of the school for interested potential students and their parents on Thursday, October 8th from 6:30 to 8, and on Saturday, October 17th from 10 to 11:30. Also, we have our members of the various school governance councils are invited to attend a back-to-school breakfast next Friday, September 25th from 8:30 to 10 at the Waterbury Arts Magnet Schools. Participants will have an opportunity to share achievements and discuss strategic planning for the year. And also, Westside Middle School's Parent Resource Center has arranged to offer a series of workshops conducted by the Connecticut Money School starting September 24th, with a workshop on budgeting for life, how to create and maintain a spending plan. All workshops are from 6 to 8. Just a quick announcement. Our IT department has made Google Apps for educational accounts for all Waterbury staff members, and I've provided the details in there for you. There will be a free residential electronics recycling event on Saturday, October 3rd from 9 to 1. Waterbury residents may bring computers, laptops, cell phones, computer, etc. And more details are also outlined in my remarks. And that concludes the superintendent's notifications for tonight. Mr. President, I'll entertain any questions the board may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Roulette tonight regarding her notification? Nope.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could continue tonight, if that would be appropriate, I'd also like to do a special recognition this evening.
You bet. Very appropriate.
Thank you. So let's hope, Mr. Godot, and I can get through this tonight. So you know what? You're not going to sit for this one. You're going to stand. So as you know, Mrs. Cullen, my last directive. So this will be, yeah, here we go.
He's an actor.
So Mr. Paul Godot, professionalism, ethics, intelligence, and wisdom, all attributes of Paul Godot. Paul's the kind of rare individual whom one meets just once or twice in a career. It is for that reason that it's with great pleasure that I come before you this evening to honor and celebrate Mr. Paul Godot, Waterbury Public Schools Chief Operating Officer and Chief of Staff, as he retires from the Waterbury School District. In 2002, Paul joined Waterbury Public Schools as the Chief Operating Officer, and in 2012, he took on additional duties as the Chief of Staff for the school district. In these roles, Paul administered the finance, operations, and support functions of the Waterbury School District and served as the school system's senior financial official. His responsibilities were unending, including oversight and management of all the district finances, as well as supervision of pupil transportation, food service, school facility, custodial maintenance, and construction activities, personnel, labor relations, legal services, information systems, and other business functions of the school system. I can go on and on. In reflecting of what I wanted to share with you tonight about Paul, these things come to mind. On any given day, Mr. Godot coordinated a daunting volume and range of responsibilities that required a wide variety of skills and talents. With a keen ability to manage and prioritize, he brought his skills and talents to bear to address or resolve complicated finance and operational challenges facing this school district. Paul demonstrated exceptional analytical and strategic planning skills, managing others to desired outcomes, and guiding people so that they could be successful at reaching their objectives and with our school reform initiatives. Paul held himself and his staff to the highest standards of financial regulations and standards. He took extreme pride in his work and presented and oversaw an enormous and complex yearly budget with accuracy. Paul fostered a strong and effective relationship with myself as the superintendent of schools. The trust that has flourished between us has contributed to the effectiveness of the central office leadership team in the years we have worked together. Paul is also really highly regarded by this board, and I'll certainly let the board speak after me for themselves. He has demonstrated effectiveness in achieving goals, objectives, anything that I've set forth for him with regards to reform. Paul is open and responsive always to the public. While serving as Chief Operating Officer from 2002 to 2015, Paul managed the budgets and overall project implementation of unprecedented number of school building and renovation projects to provide Waterbury children and families with additional schools and school spaces that are highly conducive to learning and to improve student achievement. During his tenure as Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Godone facilitated the building, equipping, staffing, and opening of Carrington Elementary School, Duggan Elementary School, Reed Elementary School, the Waterbury Career Academy. He also facilitated large-scale renovation projects, including Enlightenment School Building and Renovations Project, Kennedy High School addition and alterations, Kennedy High School Media Center addition, Wallace Middle School addition and alterations, Wilby High School Classroom addition, Wilby High School Science Room renovations, Crosby High School Classroom addition, Crosby High School Media Center addition. While these physical plants stand as visual reminders of some of Mr. Godone's outstanding work over the past 14 years, incredibly, they are but a few of the lasting marks Paul will leave on the district and the community. Some of the other contributions Paul has made to the district are improved school facilities, maintenance protocols, information systems, technology, school security upgrades, and effective systems for the ongoing operations and management of the district's pupil transportation, food service, and school business office functions. Mr. Godone fits the model Chief Operating Officer, Chief of Staff job description to the optimal level. Yet as true and sincere as these statements are, it is just as significant during his long tenure with Waterbury Public Schools. Mr. Godone has quietly and unpretentiously, but most assuredly, earned the admiration of everyone who has had the pleasure of working with him. Somehow, in his confident yet unassuming manner, Paul commanded the respect of everyone he met. Paul maintains his composure through the most difficult of circumstances, and I'd have to say through snowstorms, blizzards, many hurricanes, and guided me through many of those calling of school, and led for the clarity of purpose, managing the district financial matters and the staff with unmatched integrity. Paul has worked tirelessly with teachers, administrators, parents, community, and local leaders. Open and honest communication is a hallmark of his administrative style. Often faced with competing complex situation, Paul was always able to separate the urgent from the important and to address both with equal precision. His ability to maximize limited financial resources allowed the school district to achieve many discarded school reforms. Paul is one of the most gifted colleagues I've met. He has shared his multiplicity of talents with our school district and its stakeholders without reservation. Paul has distinguished himself as an individual whose legacy will surely include his extensive efforts to meet the needs of all our staff, students, and families in every school in this district. A devoted family man and trustworthy colleague, a true gentleman, Paul is the definition of a great character. He's the consummate professional and a wonderful person. He's truly one of a kind. I will miss him and the guidance that he has afforded to me as superintendent of schools. I know I speak for the entire district when I say that we extend to Paul our very best wishes for success and happiness and all that he does go in moving forward. Thank you, Paul, for your outstanding service to the district, and congratulations on your retirement. You will be greatly missed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn now.
So moved.
Not yet, Paul. I'm going to throw it open to the board, just in case the superintendent left something out. Someone else might want to chime in. Commissioner Tom Van Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. I'm not sure, Paul, how much you paid to have that speech just read, but it must have cost you a pretty penny.
I usually draft most of them, but not that one.
It's been almost 2 years since I've been on this board. I think after the first couple months, you probably said, where did this guy come from? But yeah, you did, didn't you? But through my questions of return on investments, questioning people who were claiming we were making out on alternative energy, there were probably some questions you didn't expect to hear from board members. But you were always there to help me with those answers. And when I question folks, you in turn question them as well. So I always appreciated that. I think of all the topics I asked to have private conversations with you, my time unfortunately didn't allow us to get through them all. But when we did have time, I learned a lot. I really did. I appreciate what you have done for this board. Whoever permanently fills your shoes is, they're going to have a tough job ahead of them. I truly have learned a lot from you, and I appreciate it. And on a personal note, I will truly miss you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you. 5 years ago when I first came to this board, I was greeted with congratulations and condolences depending on who I was talking to, and everyone would give me advice, whether it be this or that or the other thing. But the one thing every person I spoke to agreed upon was talk to Paul Guidon. And that was the first thing I did. I sat down, you walked me through at least the Cliff Notes version of what this budget looked like, how things were paid. And as my ears were bleeding from not understanding this, you patiently took me by the hand and walked me through it. And it's those basic building blocks from those days that help to have a little bit of the understanding that you have. And in those initial days and weeks, every time a brand new commissioner like I was had a question, I have a question on school lunches, see Paul Guidon. I got a question on class schedules, go see Paul Guidon. I got a question on a boiler, go see Paul Guidon. Every answer was go see Paul Guidon. And you had the answer for every one of those questions, and I always found that fascinating. You, sir, are the epitome of professionalism. You are what every public servant should aspire to. I generally live by the axiom that no one is irreplaceable, but I believe you might be the exception to that rule. Thank you for all you've done for the children and the people here in Waterbury. You will be sorely missed.
Thank you, Jason.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Stengel. Wow, Paul, I dreaded this day. I really did. I remember watching before becoming a commissioner with my wife, watching the Board of Ed meetings, and always watching you having the answers. And I didn't know you at the time, but I knew that you were the face of the Board of Education, of the Department of Education here in the city of Waterbury. And when I was elected to the board, appointed then elected, and got to work closely with you, I realized how much institutional knowledge you have. And like Commissioner Van Stone has said, your shoes are going to be very difficult to fill, very difficult. Class act, Hall of Fame human being. And I really feel that I'm a better commissioner by knowing you, by working with you, and just the information you shared. You was always accessible, return phone calls. So I'm personally going to deeply miss you. So thank you for what you do, but enjoy your journey, my friend. And just one last thing. I remember we did the walkthrough at the Waterbury Career Academy before it even opened. And you were walking, and there was a really nice backdrop of the sun as you're walking, and I took a photo of you without your approval, because I heard you don't like a lot of photos. And I used a quote from Victor Hugo, which was, "He who opens a school door closes a prison." And so thank you for opening up many school doors. We greatly appreciate it, and you'll be sorely missed.
Thank you. And I remember you're a great photographer.
Commissioner McEntee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Paul, I sat here for 2 years and tried to stump you, and I watched as others tried to stump you, and nobody's ever seemed to could. You always seem to have the right answer at the right time, and some people think they know it all, but I think you might really know it all. Someone else is going to have to do your job someday, but it's going to be extremely hard for them to do it as well as you have. Your contributions were greatly appreciated, and your presence is going to be greatly missed. Good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Commissioner Sweeney. Sweeney.
Paul, my first interactions with you were not as a commissioner on this board, but as a grandparent in the community with children and grandchildren in the schools. And as many times as I sent you over requests for information ad litem, You responded each and every time. You took my calls, you answered my faxes, and every question that I had, you answered. And that's pretty phenomenal, coming from, education people, coming from city people. And it leaves a lasting, very soulful imprint on a person. And I can't thank you enough for just recognizing the fact that people ask questions and they want answers. And when I came to this board and I started to go around and speak to principals and teachers in the schools, and one of the things I often asked, do you have everything you need? And most of the time the answer was, central office and Paul Godone are just wonderful. He doesn't always say yes, but he always hears what I ask for, and he always gives me an answer, even when that answer is hard and that answer is no. Paul, the way you approach people, the respect you give to people, there's no measure for that. No measure for that. And I only hope that we are near lucky enough to be able to replace that piece of you, because the students, the parents, the staff in this district deserve that kind of treatment on a daily basis. And I hope we're lucky enough to find someone who at least does that much for us. So I will miss you deeply, and I wish you well. I just wish you well.
Thank you.
Vice President Harvey?
Thank you, thank you. Paul, I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't think that we can fill your shoes. I don't see that as possible. I think anyone that fills this position is going to have to create their own path, but it will not be one that you have walked in, because I don't think there's anyone that can fill your shoes. I joined this board. When I joined it, what motivated me to run for the board was the issue of the grants. There was a big issue of question around grants. And when you got here, when you arrived, you helped clean that up, and thereafter, each year thereafter. So I was very impressed with that. I was also impressed, I spoke to Dr. Sneed, and he explained, the reason why, he fought so hard to get you here, and I could see why. He said, we got to get Paul here from New Haven, and I can understand why he did that. What fascinates me is that you are a man of few words, but you get so much done. You don't have to say a lot, but you just, get the thing done. And I was pleased to hear from Gladys Wright that you're cool as well, because I was going to say that, but she said it for me. But you are cool. There are two events that really, out of all the years I've been on the board, that really impressed me. One was when we were met with the possibility that there were 75 kids, there would be 75 kids from the WOW area that may be out in the street for the summer, because we supposedly didn't have funding for them for summer school. When that was brought to your attention, I think within a matter of days you were able to find that money, and that problem was averted. Also, there was a lawsuit that was pending. If we didn't act on it, I was brought in on it because I work in the community, and just so happened that this lawyer mentioned it to me. But when I called you, it took you 30 minutes to kind of weed out what was going on and just kind of avert it. And that just, just impressed me. So, but I think what mostly impresses me is we don't talk about what you did in New Haven. I mean, if someone looks back and just kind of does some research to check on the number of schools that you have been involved with in this state, that you've worked on, and also Waterbury, I think they would be really, really impressed. And I think that's your legacy right there, the builder of schools, okay? So I want to thank you, and I don't want to end without thanking you first for keeping the stash of chocolate in your office. I mean, that's just, when I was stressed out and I needed chocolate, I knew exactly where to go.
That's my real legacy.
That's
yes.
But thank you for that. But I seriously want to thank you for the service to our students, to this district, to the parents, to the community. When I explained to you, when there was an issue, and I explained to you, we got to do this, you have to understand, who I'm dealing with. You understood that. I mean, you understood, like in the community, you understood when I came to you and said, Paul, we have to take care of this. If we don't take care of this, this is going to explode. You understood what I meant by that, and you would just calmly just resolve it. So I really appreciate all that you've done. I don't think we can thank you enough, but just know that I appreciate it. I appreciate the times that I would call and you would return my calls quickly. So I just want to thank you, and I wish you the best of luck, and just know we can't fill your shoes at all. But thank you again.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'm going last, probably because I'm in the state of denial for a couple of months. It was one of those things that eventually I knew was going to happen, Paul, but when it did, I was really not prepared for it. Since your announcement, I noted more closely what you do day to day. And the question is now, what don't you do day to day? You have been the one constant in this district for 13 years. Employees come and go, board members come and go. Some people go and then come back again. Through it all, you have been here to explain the ramifications and explain how to sort all that out. During the time you have been here, you have the history of the district. Speaking as a board member, you have guided us through that history. You have kept this board on track, in line, with information and knowledge, and for the most part, kept us proper and out of trouble. Paul, you always see the big picture, but also maybe more importantly, the little picture, the little snapshots of moving an agenda item along, for example. How to line up the ducks in a row before when someone shoots them out of the water. I always thought you could see the future when you give us little warnings in the sense of if you do this or that, then this or that could happen, and then you would have to live with it. And some of those were mighty hard things to live with if we were not forewarned. You have guided this district through an intensive period of school construction, 5 new schools, and major rehabs of countless others, all the while keeping the board in the loop and on track about lines, timelines, and state cutoff dates. You have seen the retirement of one superintendent and the subsequent hiring of another, again, monitoring that very important process and working with us through that process. As a board member, I always felt confident when you attended all our meetings, rarely missing, rarely sitting down during a meeting, I might add. I figured you could answer any question posed and do it all without ever losing your patience. Just a calm and steady pace. You have relished bringing a team together to solve particular problems or to launch a new initiative. You always knew who should have a seat at the table and who should probably not, for various reasons, not have a seat at the table. You came into this district 13 years ago in a firestorm of the State Oversight Board, into a district in a state of confusion, and now you are leaving, not in a blaze of glory, but in a state of calmness. You left the district in a state of calmness. There's so much to list, so much I'm sure I left out. However, we need to stop somewhere, and now the denial must also end. I'm thanking you and wishing you the best. I need you to keep an eye on us, and speaking for myself, I will certainly need it. And thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Charles.
Now, Superintendent.
Chief Academic Officer Schwartz, I know you're just sitting there very patiently and quietly, but I know you have a few remarks that you would love to just share. Yes?
Keep it clean.
He asked me, and I said, well, after,
So, Paul, last 2 months have been enlightening, and over the past few days, I almost apologize every time I go to him, because I know it's in this wake of you leaving that it's tough. It's tough for the superintendent. She's brought me in a few times and shaking her head, wondering what we're going to do. And all I can say is that I look up to you, not just as an educator, but as a leader. I have had the tremendous fortune to have great leaders over my career to look up to, and you're one of those. Everything the board said tonight encapsulated what vast majority of people in Waterbury see. And I would agree with Commissioner Harvey about the candy. So much so that if you've noticed, in my office, I have added a candy jar in the middle to, in some small way, remind myself to be the leader that you are. I know I am not that yet, but in a small way, that's my reminder to try to be a little bit of Paul Godone every day when I come in, so thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Don't go anywhere, Paul.
Superintendent's touch. I can see it coming.
We can't open the box. Someone call Paul.
Okay, can't see it. Oh, okay.
Says Paul F. Guidone, Chief of Staff, 2002 to 2015, Waterbury Public Schools. The mantle plaque.
Gorgeous.
Okay, Mr. Guidone.
Always a gentleman, I tell you.
Man, a few words.
Yes.
As many as you
Wow. My last official board meeting. And I still look forward to them. First thing I do every month is get together with Carrie and find out when are the board meetings. So I can mark them down and make sure I don't miss them. It dawned on me not too long ago, even perhaps before I decided to need to move on, that 13 years had gone by, and relatively short period of time. But the entire board that's here now was not here when I was hired. People move along, but I've had the wonderful privilege of working with dedicated people like yourselves now. Nobody will ever, quite understand the time, attention, and energy you put into your work, and how important it's been to me to do my work. To have people like you. The most senior I've had the chance to be with is certainly Charles and Karen, Ann. The most recent, Brian and Tom, with Jason and Felix thrown in between. But that spanned a number of years now. I remember my first meeting or two with the board back then, and something bothered or disturbed me. I heard a couple of board members, not these board members, speaking to each other and referring to us central office folks as them. And I said, that's not how I feel, that's not how I operate. It should be us. And I could tell you today, luckily those members are gone, that's exactly the way I feel, that we all accomplish things together. There is an us, there has been an us, and there will continue to be. All the things that you guys cited, great accomplishments. School buildings, getting the district through very hard financial times, but avoiding what most other districts went through in many cases, devastation. But we did all that together. And I enjoyed the time with each and every one of you. You're right, I communicate with all of you individually, by phone, by email. You're all a little bit different, but all your questions, all your issues, we're trying to get something accomplished. And I'm happy to be, or was to be, that conduit. In a prior job, and actually before my New Haven school times, I worked at a statewide agency, and I had opportunity really to work in and out of most every city in the state, most every town in the state, including Waterbury. Might have been late 80s and through the 90s, and I just love this town. Every time whoever I met, whoever I dealt with, it was just a feeling that it's hard to describe. But I tell anybody asked, I tell them, and it was true. And as time has gone on now here, I really feel this is my second home. I've spent enough time, done enough things, done enough with everybody in this town, from the board to city officials to community members, that it truly feels like a second home to me. And I refer to it that way to many people. I really enjoyed the privilege of working with certainly Dr. Sneed and his team, but more important with Kathy Willett, Anne Marie, Paul Sequeira, and really the entire staff of the district. They are an extraordinary group. There's some good days and there's some bad days. We've all had those. We've had them together. We shared them together. Some awful days, but we've gotten through them. And I was privileged to be a part of it. Superintendent, I've had a wonderful relationship with. You never know. I've got to break in a new superintendent. She had called me, she was still in Manchester in the process of transition, and we were working out some contractual issues, whatever else, and getting settled for her to come here. and she said, Paul, I heard some good things about you. When I get to Waterbury, I'm going to take care of you. And I said, I do the taking care of around here. And I try to do the best I can at that. Good luck to you. Your progress has been enormous. I think we all see it. We all know it. It's all been spoken to in many cases, and I know, because I'm in the inside, there's much more to come. And we've got a new team now. About time to turn things over to the young'uns. Wonderful choice for that position, and I'm sure, as you can see the team forming once again, that needs to happen. You know, you need some young blood. You need some new ideas, new direction. I think the district is poised for it. I have a couple of special places in my home. One is my mantle on my fireplace where that's going to go, and another is my bar. And on my bar is a newly given martini glass. And it says, 1 martini, 2 martini. Because after many a night like this, not like this, but some contentious board meeting nights, the next morning I would get an email from Ann Sweeney saying, have a martini? I said, no, 2, and sometimes 3. So that will rest in a very special place, and as is my martini glass, recently given in my other special place. Speaking about special, you're all special to me. My Margaret. Thank you. Oh, okay. Good to finish up. Well, the one thing I do regret, or the only thing I may regret, is that I will no longer have the one bit of most important information to a school district. And I explained this to the superintendent several times. I know Jason knows it. I explained this to the superintendent on several occasions. No matter how big the issues are, curriculum, test scores, most important bit of information in a school district is, are we having school? Are we having early dismissal?
That's right.
Or are we having an early arrival, a late arrival? Those calls start coming in 3 days before the storm occurs. And superintendent mentioned it, yes, many an hour early in the morning, but possessing that one bit of information, I guess I'll miss. But I'll miss all of you. I'll miss you, Superintendent. Margaret, I'll miss you. She's still manning my phone for an emergency phone call coming in. She never stops. You all know her. You know what we've done together. We've been a team. And I'll cherish my time in Waterbury. Thank you all.
That has to be the longest applause I've ever seen since I've been on this board. Anyway, moving on with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is the President's comments. We all know that this board takes on difficult challenges. We wrestle with that. We wrestle with what is best for the district, what is best for our students, what is best for our teachers, what is needed and what is not needed. We have to make these debates and these decisions on an ongoing basis. One such decision that we as a board considered and debated last year was the dress code revision. We all knew something had to be done. Reports of infractions and time-consuming attempts to address those infractions on a daily basis was crippling the progress of our district. Some principals, teachers, and parents and board members had their doubts, thinking that the new policy was considered too restrictive and would not work. I would like to comment that in my travels in the last couple of weeks, I have been stopped by teachers, by principals, and parents to tell me how great the revisions are working. One teacher told me she never believed it would work and dreaded the return of the school year. Now she reports that she loves it. She asked me to thank the board for taking the chance and moving forward what we as a board thought best at that time. I say this now because it comes more and more clear to me that sometimes we need to take unpopular stands when we are convinced that it is in the best interest of the district, even when some public opinion is to the contrary. Education is changing, and Wtby must change with it. We must progress and we must reform. We have begun that. We have to change the way we are used to. A few weeks ago, the board received a report and a presentation on a new revised language arts curriculum. Pretty much down to the last member, we were impressed with the energy and the depth and the accountability of the presenters. We need to see more of that, some of us said at that time. We loved it. Let's have it continue. We must continue to be proactive and continue with these types of initiatives. Much like we saw a need for dress code revisions and moved on, we must move on to other matters because there is a need to do it. We must keep this train of change moving forward. Hopefully, for the betterment of education in our district, we will do so. And now for the consent calendar, but I see people came in. What?
No, it's not consent.
No, we're okay? Okay.
The committees.
Committee school personnel.
All right. Next item on the agenda then is the not consent calendar. It's the Committee on School Personnel. Vice President Harvey, 8.1.
Thank you. Item 8.1, ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the Committee on School Personnel, the Superintendent of School recommends approval of the lateral transfer request of Janet Phillips from Supervising Vice Principal Gilmartin to Supervising Vice Principal Maloney Magnet School, effective immediately. Respectfully submitted and so moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2, Vice President Harvey.
Thank you. Item 8.2, ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the Committee on School Personnel, the Superintendent of School recommends approval of the revised job descriptions for the position of Supervisor of Math Pre-K through 12, funded by the Alliance Grant as attached. Respectfully submitted and so moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Commissioner Tom Van Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I just want to make it known that, as someone who talks about our math skills in this city all the time, especially at the secondary level, we are in need of someone to really supervise this math program. Our scores are getting better, but still not to all of our satisfaction. It's very important that we, especially at the secondary level, stabilize our math program. So I think it's very important that we get the right person for this job. It's key to our development, and it's key to moving math forward and improve what everyone knows needs to be improved. So I'm looking forward to this, whoever this person may be, to take over this position and just keep us moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 8.3, Vice President Harvey.
Thank you. Item 8.3, ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the Committee on School Personnel, the Superintendent of School recommends approval of the new position of Director of Teaching and Learning, funded by the Alliance Grant as attached. Respectfully submitted and so moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Commissioner Tom Van Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you. Again, we don't really like creating new positions, especially in this case where it's Alliance money. However, curriculum is somewhere, again, like math, that we need to move forward. I certainly am usually a proponent of utilizing Alliance dollars more directly to the classroom, but in some ways, Director of especially curriculum is not more direct to the classroom. It's very hard to spend the money on another director position, but in this case, I am in favor. However, with that being said, I think we also need to consider the fact that with this new position, we should stabilize at the 3 ILDs and not backfill that position. So I'm saying that I'm really going to vote yes for this tonight, but it is with the stipulation that I will fight very hard to stay at 3 ILDs. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Harvey.
Yes, I'd just like to add that I did have a chance to look at the responsibilities of the Chief Academic Officer versus this position, and I can understand the separation. But I hope whoever is put in this position realizes that we expect them to hit the ground running. I would hope that we would receive an update on the progress of our curriculum. This position really should have been filled a while ago. So I'm just hoping that the person will be able, that is selected, will be able to hit the ground running so that we can update our curriculum as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Vice President Harvey?
Yes.
Commissioner McAtee?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Yes.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone?
No.
Commissioner Tom Van Stone?
Yes.
President Stango?
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. Now moving on to the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to remove an item from consent? Seeing none, I shall read the consent calendar. 9.1, Committee of the Whole requests approval of the Connecticut State Department of Education 2015-2016 Consolidated Alliance and Priority School District application. 9.2, Committee on Finance requests approval to participate in the Healthy Food Certification Program. 9.3, Committee on Finance requests approval of an agreement with PTSMA Incorporated doing business as Select Physical Therapy to provide athletic training services for interscholastic athletes. 9.4, Committee on Curriculum requests approval of Amendment Number 1 to the Student Education Affiliation Agreement with St. Mary's Hospital for the establishment of a clinical program for students. 9.5, Committee on Curriculum requests approval of an agreement with Abbott Terrace Health Center for the establishment of a clinical program for students enrolled in the Wtby Career Academies as nurses' aides. 9.6, Committee on School Personnel requests approval of the new position of Coordinator of College and Career Access Center for Crosby High School. 9.7, Committee on School Facilities and Grounds use of school facilities by school organizations and/or city departments. And 9.8, Committee on School Facilities and Grounds use of school facilities by outside organizations and/or waiver requests. That concludes the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent calendar is read, items 9.1 through 9.8.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's notification to the board.
Motion to receive and place on file superintendent's notification to the board, items 11.1 through 11.6.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item number 12, unfinished business of the preceding meeting only. Seeing none, moving on to number 13 on the agenda. Other unfinished new and miscellaneous business. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Good to see you all. Have a good week. And